Bend, Oregon, a peaceful and serene town nestled in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. But beneath the surface lies a dark secret, a tragedy that shook the community to its core and left many asking how such a heinous crime could occur. This is the story of a young woman named Kaylee Sawyer, whose life was cut short under mysterious circumstances and a crime spree that spanned 2 states over 3 days. Her disappearance and subsequent murder sent shockwaves through the community, leading many to wonder who could be capable of such a heinous act. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that there was more to the story than anyone could have ever imagined. Secrets and lies were exposed, and the community was left grappling with the aftermath of such a senseless tragedy. Join us as we unravel the mystery of Kaylee's death, exploring the twists and turns of the investigation and the devastating impact it had on those who knew and loved her. This is a story of tragedy, but it's also a story of hope and resilience as the community rallied together to honor Kaylee's memory and seek justice for her death. On the night of July 23, 2016, Kaylee Sawyer went to downtown Bend, a small city in Oregon, the United States. She was there to attend her best friend's bachelorette party. She called her boyfriend Cameron Reimholfer around midnight to pick her up since she was ready to go home. At the time, she lived with Cameron on the college campus. He told her he would arrive soon, so she waited for him with a couple of friends at a nearby restaurant. Cameron arrived at the restaurant to pick her up, and on their way back home, they had an argument. When they pulled up at the house, only Cameron went inside and Kaylee stayed in the car. This seemed to be a regular occurrence for them when they got into an argument and needed some space to cool off. About 10 minutes later, Cameron decided to go back to the car to persuade Kaylee to come inside and talk it over. However, when he got there, she was gone. Cameron dialed her phone and texted her a few times, but Kaylee was still angry and not ready to talk, and eventually turned her phone off to avoid rejecting all of Cameron's calls and getting more of his texts. Cameron became worried because he could not get a hold of her and didn't know where she had gone, and hoping she would return home when she was ready. By morning, Kaylee had not returned home and failed to show up at the Aubrey Dental Group, where she worked as a dental assistant. Cameron had trouble getting in touch with her the rest of the day, and by that evening, he reported her missing to the police. That same day, Isabel, a new police officer in Bend, went to the Redmond Police Department to report that her husband had made a weird confession to her that he'd murdered someone. She couldn't tell if he was lying or not. Her husband, Edwin Lara, worked as a security guard at the Central Oregon Community College, the same college campus where Cameron and Kaylee lived. According to Isabel, she texted her husband at around 11:30 p.m. on Saturday to say goodnight and soon after went to bed. Sometime later, Edwin arrived home and crawled into bed with Isabel without waking her up. In the morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock, they woke up next to each other, and as they would on any Sunday, they went to church. Isabel observed that her husband was unusually quiet and felt like something was amiss, but since their marriage was going through some issues at the time, she didn't press him with any questions in order to prevent an argument. By evening, he seemed to be acting more normal, and they even went to see a movie together, although in bed that night things were very quiet between them again. The following day, without any warning, Edwin told Isabel that he'd killed a woman and claimed it was an accident. He said he'd hit the woman with his car because he couldn't see her in the darkness, and when he checked on her, she was dead. He was in such shock and didn't know what to do, so he hit her body and then took her belongings and hid them in their garden shed. Isabel was in shock and Edmund was nervous, so he grabbed Isabel's service weapon, a 9mm handgun, and drove off in his Nissan Altima. Isabel knew she had to report her weapon taken, so went to the police department to report what her husband had just told her. Edwin's actions seemed completely erratic, and they all knew he needed to be found and stopped immediately before he harmed someone else or himself. While searching the house, police found a white bag with high-heeled shoes, a purse containing a black wallet, a passport, a credit card, a blood-stained rock, and some hair. The passport and other belongings were confirmed to belong to Kaylee Sawyer. They also found Edwin's work boots with blood on them, as well as an old high school project on serial killer Angel Resendez Ramirez. Knowing he was probably running from law enforcement, Edwin swapped his car for his parents' Subaru Legacy station wagon. The police found the Nissan Altima at his parents' house, which they quickly started inspecting for evidence. There was a large amount of dried blood on the trunk and the rear bumper. Strands of hair were found in the trunk. Edwin was clearly involved in something bad. Edwin drove over 2 hours to Salem and parked near a store and started walking. He noticed the 19-year-old Andrea Elizabeth in her gold Volvo clicking some photos to post on social media. Edwin got into the passenger side of her car and ordered her to drive at gunpoint. She listened and drove in fear for over 4.5 hours until the car broke down somewhere around Eureka, California. With Isabel's gun still pointed at her, Edwin ordered her out of the car and looked around for a new getaway vehicle. He spotted one parked beside a motel in the area with a man whose name was Jack Levy standing beside the car. Edwin tried to steal his car by threatening him with a gun. As Jack shouted for help, Edwin shot him in the abdomen for no reason and ran off with Andrea in tow to look for another car. At a nearby gas station, Edwin stole a car with a woman and her 2 teenage grandsons inside. The boy's father was still inside the gas station at the time. He drove 15 miles south on Interstate 5 with Andrea and his 3 new victims. Along the way, Edwin openly confessed to them how he had murdered a girl in Bend. He explained that it was an urge to kill that he had, and he had failed to suppress it any longer. He omitted the man he shot in Eureka, although Andrea saw it with her own eyes. After a while, he pulled over to drop the woman and her 2 grandsons by the side of the road, but did not let Andrea go. He forced her to stay in the car and sped down the highway. He ordered her to give him her cell phone and recorded a video confessing to the crimes while also apologizing and begging the police not to kill him. He demanded that she post the video on Facebook with the caption, "Murderer on the loose and kidnapped."
I just want to say that I apologize for everything I've done. Sorry about that girl. I used to kill that other girl, and I'm sorry for everything that I caused.
At around 6:40 a.m. on the 26th of July, while driving down the highway near Redding, California, he called 911 to turn himself in. Units were immediately dispatched and the police made a successful capture and arrest. While in custody, Edwin confessed to killing Kaylee, kidnapping and carjacking Andrea and the family from the gas station, as well as shooting that man in California. His confessions led to the discovery of Kaylee's body on the side of the road where he dumped her.
The family of a Bend woman murdered by a campus security guard has settled a lawsuit with Central Oregon Community College, that was the security guard's employer.
An autopsy carried out by investigators concluded Kaylee had blunt force trauma to the head, with some evidence of strangulation, multiple skull fractures, and some other signs of injury. This unfortunately proved that Kaylee was brutally murdered and not accidentally hit by a car, as he confessed to his wife. In his confession, Edwin claimed that he had been struggling with the urge to kill for some time now. Edwin was working as a security officer for the college when he saw Kaylee walking alone late that night on July 23rd. Edwin struck the back of her head with a rock and put her in the trunk of his vehicle. As showcased in Edwin's old high school report, the serial killer Ramirez loved to kill with weapons of opportunity. Edwin had employed the same methods when he decided to kill Kaylee.
Kaylee Sawyer's family will receive $2 million in that settlement, and this news all comes one day before the 4-year anniversary of Kaylee's death. She was just 23 years old when she was abducted, raped, and murdered by Edwin Lara in 2016 while he was on duty at the college.
Edwin's actions led to the passage of a bill, SB 576, in the state of Oregon. The bill is focused on overall security reform by better defining the roles of the police force and campus security forces.
Lara pleaded guilty in 2018 and was sentenced to life in prison.
Edwin was sentenced in April 2019 to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole.